lot of fun, very exciting. And being able to adjust the speed was my last pet peeve because some guys just read way too slow, and I can goose them up technologically, and it doesn't make them sound like chipmunky or anything like that.
Yeah.
You can get a free trial on us, audiblepodcast.com/baldmove.
All right, let's get into feedback. We had far too many people write in about two things. One, oatmeal and chocolate chip cookies. Everybody says they're great. I should try them. Somebody's sending recipes, links to recipes. People are offering to send us cookies in the mail.
You know what?
Which sounds dangerous, but...
You know what?
What?
I invited you to Thanksgiving dinner for our family.
Did
and
you pick up some oatmeal chocolate chip?
You accepted the invitation. I'm going to cook you a batch of oatmeal chocolate chip cookies. I'm
All
pretty
right.
good at it.
I'll give it a shot.
The pancakes, biscuits and gravy, and oatmeal chocolate cookies I'm particularly proud of. So, yeah.
All right.
By this time next week, you'll have seen the light.
Yeah, I can report in next time. The other thing was Sasha's footprint in the mud from last episode.
Oh Jesus! This is the one where it's like it was a steady stream of how did you get something so blatantly obvious wrong, you asshole? Well, it wasn't usually. It was always usually in kindness. I'm sure there was a few assholes here and there.
Sure. Well, we deserved it because I went back and I watched it, and it's blatantly obvious. She's looking in the mud. She's wriggling her foot around. Abraham's looking at it. I just wasn't paying attention.
But here's the thing. She says in the next scene with him, we don't need to leave breadcrumbs.
What the fuck?
Which seems to be at odds with her leaving a visible trail. Like,
and
that's
Dixon
literally what breadcrumbs
works.
in this meaning means.
Yeah. No, writing Dixon on the door kind of works because it's a signal really only to Daryl.
Sure.
A footprint in the mud is a signal to everyone.
Yeah.
So what the fuck are you talking about, Sasha?
Right, and zombies being killed, like, I don't know that is any more of a bread, because, like, zombies, like, there's dead bodies everywhere, and how can you tell how freshly killed a zombie corpse is, because it's been dead for anywhere between an hour and 3 years, so...
Yeah.
Yes, mea culpa, we're wrong on that, but there was a kind of, like, confusing on what the strategy was vis-a-vis... Daryl Dixon and tracking and breadcrumbs and all that.
Yeah. And also, I forgot to mention this in the chocolate chip discussion. Shelby S. wants you to post your oatmeal chocolate cookie recipe.
Sure. I actually have it in a Google Doc. We can do that easy.
All right, cool. K in LA says the thing about Sasha in the mud puddle. That was the only credit I was going to give for that. There were 1,500 others. Let's move on.
Yep.
She Ellis, I think, is the name here. It says it's been a lot more than a day or two since Reg and Pete were killed. We were talking about this last time, like kind of not knowing
for real
when we were at here.
How?
She says the black and white scenes in the first episode were showing them all moving toward this day of the herd in which all the episodes have taken place. It's been at least a week or two. I still don't get it, but all right.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, okay. I mean, I buy that it's been a week just to get the plans formulated and all that stuff. Okay, all right.
Maybe so. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter so much.
But that's the other thing is the black and white. I think the black and white pictures, if the start of that timeline did happen immediately after Reg's death, and then it tells us backwards, forwards of those of the weeks of preparation and stuff. So okay, I can see where I got confused there.
Beverly B says, I feel the need to explain my comment last week about Sasha being able to do better in reference to Abraham. Says maybe better isn't the right word exactly, but Sasha has always been portrayed as having a quiet, classy dignity. Yes, she at times has struggled emotionally as anyone would, but she barely raised her voice and never embarrassed herself, except for, almost killing Abraham.
Yeah, Abraham is kind of the opposite.
Abraham is kind of, I'm sorry, a cartoonish buffoon. Talking about Mother Dick and his itchy ass and letting Eugene watch him have sex. Again, better was unfair. Cartoonish buffoons can be loving partners too. But Sasha is a tough, dignified, competent, and beautiful woman, and it seems like even in the zombie apocalypse where choices are limited and perhaps different qualities are valued, she can still find herself someone like Glenn or Daryl or even Rick, although he has some different issues. People who aren't so cartoonish.
Well, Glenn's taken. Daryl's asexual.
Rick is kind of taken.
And Rick has got like 3 women deep. He's got Jesse he needs to get rid of, and then
he's taking his pick of the town.
Then at least Michonne. So he's got somebody and then one in the wings. So
and Daryl might have Carol. We're not sure.
Yeah,
we're not. Maybe.
No, I think Daryl's asexual.
Could be. Nino V.
Whoa.
What?
Also, just to refute her comment, especially when it comes time to cartoonish buffoons, I learned at a very tender young age, at the feet of Paula Abdul and a cartoon cat, that opposites can indeed attract. So,
Okay, even when they're cartoons.
Especially when they're cartoons. Not even the same species. Mm-hmm. Like, all the talk of dolphin smooth the size, Abraham is recognizably human. This pairing makes sense.
It's true.
All
Plus,
right.
he's looking dapper in his new uniform.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I don't know what I was doing there, but...
Nino V says, I'm reading the comics for the first time and realized that you probably need to view this show as a comic book. I didn't have a problem with Daryl falling from his bike right next to a dead biker because a shot from above showing Daryl fallen pretty much reminded me of a full panel drawing in the comic. You forgive the heavy metaphor in that context a lot more, and Gimple seems to be a big fan of the original comic. Reading it now, though, I remember Aaron complaining in the past about how the show makes its characters do stupid things and that the comic was better in a lot of ways. He even talked about how he would have preferred to just follow the comic storylines more closely. I don't know how long ago he read it, but the comics have a lot of the same problems that you guys point out if you look at it as in-depth as we do with the show.
That might be true, and that's one of the reasons I stopped. Because I did have a habit of reading the anticipated arc, or, where the comics kind of left off and kind of reading the next 20, 30 issues as a way to prep, and it kept on blowing up in my face. Because I see where she's saying about, I think I've said on the podcast that, I don't think that Kirkman is this incredible storyteller that he has a reputation. He's just maybe the first person that's really taken a serious, mature look at what life would be like in a zombie apocalypse in his long-form narrative format. Mm-hmm. And he gets a lot of credit from kind of blazing that trail.
Yeah.
So to that, with all that said, I do think that a lot of times what happens in the comic is superior, and that could be structurally or whatever. I don't remember the one shot she's talking about, probably because I didn't read the comics and prep for the season, but...
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because he and or she, I don't know what the name Nino is, honestly.
Oh, it's probably he. It's a Nino.
Yeah, I'm not certain. But they mentioned that you've always kind of assumed that Kirkman is the real puppet master behind the show and that he has a lot of control. But they're not sure if that's the case given how much the feel of it has changed between the different showrunners, which... I mean, even if the showrunner is 50% of it and Kirkman is the other 50, you could see that having an effect on the show for sure.
Well, and that's the thing. It's I always heard that in season 1, it was, Darabont butting heads with the producers and executives at AMC. And, Kirkman is one of those producers and executives of The Walking Dead. And then you heard the same thing about all this friction and strife with Mazzara. The Gimple era, it's all been... peaches and kitten kisses and sunshine. So that leads me to believe that either Gimple's a lot better at manipulating Kirkman, or that Gimple is much more of a team player, and that when he doesn't give Kirkman as much shit. And I this is me armchair psychoanalyzing two people I don't know and their working relationship, but hey, man,
it's just tough,
that's what I love to do on this show.
I know. I get the point. Look, this is based on a comic book. And if you view it as a comic book perspective, maybe it makes a lot more sense and you don't need all the context that you need in a show. But at the end of the day, it's a TV show.
Yeah.
And it's tough for me to say that they should make this like a comic book.
Right.
In this, because if you go to, I don't know, Watchmen, right? That feels like a movie. It doesn't feel like a comic book to me. It feels a little bit like a comic book in style, but not in substance, right?
Well, here's a heretical opinion. I don't think The Watchmen as a comic book is that hot of a comic book. It's got a lot of big ideas and intellectual stimulating, but the actual style and storytelling I always thought was stilted and kind of backwards. But that's the other thing is I don't want to make it seem like comic books automatically mean shit doesn't make sense and it's stupid and you just have to knock yourself in the hammer a few times to enjoy it. I think what they're getting at, and I agree with, is that the medium is different. Yeah. Comic books use a lot of visual poetry to get across the themes that they're saying because they can't do the nuanced acting and whatnot. Whereas same like a Broadway musical, everybody's singing and everybody's emoting huge and make sure they're seen from the peanut gallery. Yeah. Whereas if you do that with a real extreme close-up, you're going to think this person has lost their mind. So every medium has to make a few necessary tweaks. And, again, if Gimple chose that shot to do an homage to the comic, great, but I think that shows a poor understanding of how you translate those mediums. There are a lot of shots that are iconic, right? Like Rick riding up the Georgia, or I'm sorry, Atlanta on horseback is an iconic comic book shot that translated beautifully cinematically to the big screen.
Yeah.
Daryl wrecking his bike next to another biker that died in a forest fire or was a zombie that walked into didn't work as well for me.
Okay. Daniel T. says, every season I hear you guys say, wow, the first episode was awesome. Then in a few you say, this is garbage. And the final episode is, wow, I can't wait for the next season. They got me again.
It's the trap. It's exquisite, and I don't know how to get myself out of it.
No, he agrees. He says it's like this for me as well. The show seems to always be looking too far ahead and setting things up for later, but they forget there's several episodes in between and that they should be decent and entertaining. They neglect basic writing skills and plot progression in favor of, hey, later on it's going to be awesome. Let's just make this character do this for no reason so we can do that cool thing later.
Do you? Because I remember us having this conversation, but I can't remember if it was off air or on air. But I remember around episode 2 thinking, do you think they're spending all of their budget like right up here, and that we're going to go into a whole lot of like slow stuff where we hardly ever see any zombies? And,
seems like that's what they did.
And I feel like that this show still has this weird finite budget, whereas, you know, a lot of shows of this type, like, you know, Game of Thrones, it tends to, like, as they get progress in the series, it gets more and more epic and, you know, more and more visual pizzazz. And they still have a finite budget, but it seems like it's ever increasing to adjust to the size and scope of the audience and their narrative ambition. Where Walking Dead, it's like, you get this much money and that's it. Fuck you if you want to tell a season-long arc with a herd of zombies.
Yeah.
And it's the show's for the poorer for it.
I agree. I also just don't think in the slow episodes that Game of Thrones inevitably has as well, that the writing is writing is much better in that show than it is here. And
they still do like they have way more ambition than they have skill to pull off, and that's still a consistent problem with the show.
Yeah,
as well.
Carter, pulling a Glenn is now my new go-to for fumbling a fake out character death. Finally going to hop on the Aaron train and accept the show for what it has sadly become. The Walking Dead can no longer be taken seriously as a prestige drama. It's a zombie-themed soap opera with occasional moments of action bliss. It's not the worst thing in the world, but there's ample room in the platinum age of television for an apocalypse/zombie-themed Darabont-run drama. It's a shame that we had to see that show get taken away from us. Yeah, I mostly agree. I feel like it changed in season 2 significantly, and it has never found its footing again.
And here's the problem now. So what do you do when they kill a major character? Daryl's dead. He's getting his guts pulled out. He's surrounded by zombies. This show's conditioned us to think that that's going to be a fake out. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. And it's not the first time. Like Sepinwall wrote a essay about how bad they fucked this up. And it talked about like how...
I haven't read that yet. I really want to.
How they did this with Carol in season 3, where her and T-Dog got lost in the catacombs, and then they found her bloody do-rag, and then it was, she must be dead, and then she turned up in a closet the next episode. And they did the same thing with Glenn last season, where it looked like he was dead, and, you know, he's going to be left for dead by zombies. Yeah. And this is the first time that they've kind of combined, and they kept on like pushing the boundaries of what you can do with a character death fake out, and now they combined it with this, making the audience wait. And I don't know. I just don't. If you're like if you're the type of fan that obsesses over this show and Glenn's your favorite character, how do you feel about that? Like, are you going to care about it if he's put in another perilous situation? Are you going to care as much?
It's a fair question, and I would have read Shelby in Canberra's email about this, but you stomped all over it.
Did I just sit on her?
Like a muddy puddle underneath Sasha's boot. You've just crushed it into the dirt. So we'll move on to Barry C. from the UK. But I think that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to feel until I feel it.
I know we're going to clown it. The next time someone important dies, we're going to probably clown the shit out and like, I don't know, man. There's
a dumpster awfully close to
Yeah. Are we sure there's no dumpster?
All right. Barry C. from the UK. I'm sure the show is trying to claim there is a life is all precious struggle going on with all the characters, but surely there really isn't. Most of the viewers who live in relative luxury compared to the characters know that Morgan was wrong to save the life of the homicidal maniacs killing the group, and only the most extreme of liberals and people of faith can surely sympathize with him. In fact, it is a fair assumption that what Morgan is doing is a much more banishable act than what Carol did to get banished at the prison. What do you think?
I agree. I think people that are that extreme in their life philosophy are annoying in peacetime.
Sure. I think the statement "all life is precious"
what's that? Like the Peter
is
Sanger guy. That's
on
like
the face of it.
if I saw a 2-year-old and a chimpanzee fall into the water, who I save would depend on who I'm closest to. Like, fuck you, dude.
It was certainly not. I mean, you are biologically set up to go save that child.
Right.
You are evolved over the course of millennia.
And one day that child will grow up and contribute to society and is capable of expressing thanks and gratitude to you. The monkey
will probably throw shit at you in the next second.
Like that, or
you'll save it, it'll bite your face and run away.
It might rip your arms off. It's like that's just such a stupid black and white bullshit life philosophy. And I know he's probably doing it just to make an ethical point. Like I question whether he was actually put in that situation. He would find the strengths of his bullshit convictions, but.
The problem with it is it's flimsy.
Like he's saying that in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, just shove him out the front gate then.
Sure. Yeah.
Go with the wolves. Go preach to your flock, man. They're the ones that need you.
I don't want my child to be in a scenario where there's a monkey and him or her in the river and you go save the fucking monkey. Get out of here.
Right.
You're banished.
Right.
So yeah, we're mostly with you.
All I know is when the chimpanzees evolve super intelligence, they're going to be highly offended to be called the monkeys in this podcast.
That's true.
It's going to be,
it's out there forever. So
we're going to be one of those things 100 years from now where they're playing in universities saying what terrible speciesist bullshit we were espousing.
Could be.
And I welcome our new ape overlords, Caesar, and the rest of your Planet of the Apes.
Yep. Keith says, it is interesting to compare Carol's more black and white survivalist morality to Morgan's. To Carol, people who are criminals don't get second chances. Also, she sees them as a continuing threat, whereas Morgan believes in rehabilitation due to his own circumstances. They are really two characters who exist as opposites, each defined by their struggles. Carol overcame fear of her abusers and violence. She took a lot of shit and won't compromise. Morgan didn't compromise in his thinking and always cleared, but eventually realized that people can sometimes change if given a chance. It's an interesting moment in the show because now we see where the two views intersect. Do certain characters deserve forgiveness? Perhaps, but at what cost? Or, a new thought, what cost is there in not forgiving them? That's an interesting question. In the words of Morgan, a resolute "I don't know" is a definitive answer. We can feel safe killing those who may be potential threats, but we can never know what potential benefits could be reaped from keeping them alive. Yeah, and that's why I like the gray areas that this episode is delving into. And several episodes before it, but it kind of came to a head this episode.
It's just weird because you think about like past civilizations and even just a few hundred years ago how bloodthirsty we were as far as eye for eye, tooth for tooth, life for life, and we've calmed down on all that, and it seems like we're heading into ever more generous territory. Whereas now there's a sizable minority, I think, that would like to just do away with the death penalty altogether. And he thinks like, okay, were the previous societies just wrong, or do we have the luxury to experiment with punishment and get it just right? Yeah. Because we live in a society where laws are effective and
so many of our needs are taken care of by default.
Yeah, because the reality is like we're not any smarter or more highly evolved than humans 200 years ago. So that's the problem I always have with The Walking Dead. When you take away that luxury, I think it's Carol and Rick's viewpoint seem like they're more logical than like Morgan and Tyrese and all those feel like they're people that are not in the right time or place.
Yeah, that's where I come down.
Which is why they're kind of frustrating for a zombie apocalypse crowd, because I think we identify kind of like Rick's got the right blame. Yeah, he might go a little too tough on crime occasionally, but we'd rather strike that balance than let a man choke our infant to death because we couldn't kill him an episode before,
Sure.
So
I agree. Joel H. says, with genuinely good shows like Fargo and Leftovers getting relatively low numbers compared to The Walking Dead, I wondered what was going on. Personally, I watch The Walking Dead every week, and every week I ask myself, why the hell are you still watching this stupidity? Am I officially hate watching it? This week was no exception. The The formula for The Walking Dead works because they constantly create new characters with enough variety that there are bound to be at least 2 or 3 that you actually give a shit about. Mm-hmm. I give a shit about Michonne, Morgan, and Carol, so I therefore will keep watching. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, I mean...
I think that's about right.
It's funny because I sometimes think about this stuff a lot. And at the end of the day, it's not really important why you watch a show. It's just that, are you still getting something out of it? Like, hate watching can be fun.
Sure.
Love watching can be fun, and everything in between. So I think it's interesting that a lot of times I shift gears. Like, if a show, especially if this show has like 2 or 3 bad episodes, I shift fully into hate gear. And it takes me sometimes an episode or 2 to get back into love gear. And then I get 2 or 3 good episodes, and I'm like back into love gear. So I just...
Yeah.
It's something we talked about in the last few weeks. Like, what happens if a whole season is just unwatchable dreck with nothing of redeeming value, where it's just nothing makes sense, and therefore, like, even if they get cool action, it's like, who cares? Mm-hmm. It's not funny. It's not sad. It's just bleh.
Yeah, I think these guys, say what you will about them, episode to episode, but they're good enough not to fuck up a whole season like that.
Yeah.
I don't think we're ever going to get a season of The Walking Dead that's just like pure garbage.
Yeah, it's weird because there's a lot of shows that probably fall into that category that are good, good but not great.
Oh yeah, tons of them. More than are great.
Like, this is better than average, but it's way...
I'd say this is somewhere around average.
Really?
Well, I don't know. You throw in like the procedural bullshit and
that's
like
what I'm
all
saying.
of these primetime network shows, and it's like,
Yeah, that's where I'm judging against. Because every once in a while I've tried a network show that gets kind of like some buzz and stuff, and every once in a while you'll get something like Hannibal that's pretty good. But mostly it's like, it's quite a bit worse, and it's the subtle things, like we talk about the background actors or the B actors, which aren't great on The Walking Dead, but man, you get away from like the main starring cast in some of these things, and you get off in the weeds pretty quick.
Yeah, it's true. Dr. Barry Goodman writes in about the director of this thing, which I thought was interesting. The Director Guild, I understand, is rather particular on what goes on for each episode, for each director. Note that David Boyd was the director for both Glenn episodes.
So Dr. Goodman's the one, he has actual experience with the acting community in Albuquerque.
Yeah, he said he met David Boyd, who is a cool guy. Met him when he was
so
doing
I just
the night
want to make
shift.
sure people know he's not like... he's not an above-the-line guy, but he's had experience with the process. He's not just talking out of his ass.
Sure.
That's all I'm saying. Like, we talk out of our ass.
Yeah, so...
He's had some experience.
I mean, the thing that he says here is that he directed both episodes, and they didn't have to restage that shot with Glenn. So, like, they could film it all at once, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Huh.
The way they do that. Ben
that
says...
way, because what, if they hadn't, they would have had to, like, have co-director credit or something?
I don't know. I don't know exactly. He doesn't elaborate on it.
Okay.
So, not sure.
Do you think that it was in... Do you think that... I just wonder, like, was this intended, like, at one point were they, in the Glenn thing, not supposed to be this 4-week cliffhanger?
Do you think it was, like, editing?
Well, I mean, I've wondered that a lot about this show. That, like, the story they're telling is not too terrible, but when you slice and dice it and ask people to kind of pick it apart on these artistic merits, it starts to fall down. Like, we talked about this with Slaptown.
Sure.
Like, man, if they'd taken these shows and spliced them together in a different order, or kept kind of all these balls in the air more than just letting some of them drop and like, okay, we're going to focus on this one ball that's not that particularly interesting. Like Beth as a B plot, pretty solid. Beth as an A plot for 3 weeks, kind of thin.
Sure. I think we have an email later on about, the order of things in this episode, or in this season rather, but we'll talk about it. Ben says, my favorite exchange in this episode. Ron, can I practice shooting a gun? Rick, no, we don't want to attract walkers to one part of the wall. Now fuck off, I need to bang on the wall with a hammer. Yeah, he was making a lot of noise against that wall at the weakest spot in the entire wall. So
yeah, and like, hammering on cold rolled steel versus a shot,
they're similar.
Yeah.
Similar sound.
I don't want to wear hearing protection around either one, honestly.
Yeah. Bill from Houston has a significant email here in size. I don't know about subject. But he says, at first I was upset at the execution of Glenn's death like everyone else, but getting past that, I admit that there was an impressive and consistent element to his escape. From what we've been told, walkers react to sight, sound, and smell. So if Glenn is under the dumpster, he's out of sight. He can be quiet so they can't hear, and who knows what kind of awful smell is coming from that dumpster after 2 years, so they can't smell him either. It would make sense that eventually he would be beyond their detection and they would leave. Yeah, and I buy all that, sure. Here's where I have an issue. After a single night, all the walkers can't find any meals, so then all 100 plus of them decide to move away. I'm frustrated with the lack of established rules of this universe about how long it takes for a walker to lose interest after there's no sign of food. But if Glenn can put on his cloaking dumpster and all those walkers move away after a few hours, why doesn't the herd at Alexandria do the same? Rather than having Rick yell at everyone to be quiet, make sure that all the human cutlets are perched on top of the fence and bang away with a hammer. Why can't they just go silent for an evening? Everybody get behind the fence, don't make any noise, go into a building, and wait a while.
Yeah, no,
What do you think?
that's one of the things that the Sepinwall put up on his manifesto is that not only was this bad from a treating your audience with respect angle, it also really plays hell with what we think we know about the way zombies work in this universe. Because he or she, whoever wrote that email, is absolutely right. The whole way that the herd is explained is like, one zombie accidentally brushes up against a door, another zombie sees it and thinks it's trying to get inside. Other zombies see that, and then pretty soon you got a herd. So, like, any visual stimulus or auditory or whatever stimulus is going to lead to a herd condition given enough zombies in the area.
Yeah.
So, why aren't they getting bored of Alexandria? Why did they get bored of Glenn? And again, like, they did a pretty good job of showing it was only a small ring of zombies that were left, and I buy all those explanations, and I do think that Enid is implied to have drawn off the rest of the hardcore zombie faithful, but...
Yeah. And the thing we know about zombies and the reason that rolling a can by them works is because they tend to glom together like that, right?
Right.
Like they see one zombie going after something and they follow it.
So it's one of those things where it's like, it seems like both of these ideas are mutually contradictory. You can't have them, but you can do one or the other, but you can't have both plots simultaneously. I honestly was thinking it was so far beyond my expectation that these zombies would all just wander away except for a few stragglers. I really was trying to stretch my brain and thinking, like, man, how are they going to have like a heavy-duty rescue force come in?
Sure.
Like, what force is going to be able to fight its way to save Glenn, and how would they even know he was there that need saving? And that's why I thought there'd be CB involved, and there'd be, like, maybe end of mid-season rescue attempt. Them just getting bored and walking away was not... on the table of my expectations.
Yeah, time is the great equalizer.
Yeah.
Dan also has some comments about this. Alexandria was surrounded 20 deep by zombies, and no one thought to just take them out at the gates. The same thing that they did at the prison, which we've talked about before. Then he does some calculations. Look, let's say for argument's sake there are 5,000 zombies at the wall. If 10 people hacked at them through the bars of the gate, killing 6 zombies per minute, that's one every 10 seconds.
6 ZPMs, sure.
No problem.
You can maintain that.
Easy. They'd have taken out the whole herd in under 2 hours. When you put it in that perspective...
Yeah, I mean, we did
it's fucking ridiculous that they can't take out this herd.
Yeah, especially given the time that they've had. Yeah.
A day at least? Multiple days? I don't know.
Yeah. But I get it. Like, Rick wants to make sure he puts his thing together right. Because, I mean, from Rick's perspective, what's going to attack us? We're surrounded by 20 zombies all around. We have enough food and water to weather this, so let's just, not do anything stupid and do it right. But on the other hand, they did that to prison all the time.
Yeah, to keep the fences up.
And you could also, like, it'd be real easy, I assume, to put little holes through the fence at regular intervals, too, that you could take a rebar stick and just jab through. Like, that wouldn't really reduce the safety of the wall. There's a lot of things they could do.
Yeah,
if I ever get around to writing a survival guide for season 6, it'll be fun to the armchair quarterback all these decisions. But
the problem with that becomes, like, if you have a significant number of people, there is, and you have a wall that can withstand the force of the walkers.
The zombies they've lost already.
They're completely not a threat.
Yeah,
like there is the only amount of zombies that are a threat are the amount that crushes your wall.
Sure.
Instantly.
Yep.
Before you can peel them off of it. So they run into a problem.
Or they stack up so deep that they start walking like a gentle hill of bodies to the top of the wall. Yeah. That's the other threat. Yeah.
Start coming over, waterfalling their way over the top.
Yep.
As they love to do. It also raises questions like, if they're 20 deep around this city, how big is this city? And we've talked about that before. Like, You can't hear gunshots across the city. It takes Rick like half a day to run across it, but they can surround it 20 deep. That's a lot of zombies, way more than a couple thousand.
Sure.
Anyway, Edmund says, I'm very happy Glenn is alive. I actually love how it happened. I was really happy watching the opening of this episode unfold so much that I feel I could watch that first minute of the episode over and over again because I just really loved it. I thought it was done in a way that was believable and made sense. It was really intense, and Glenn was in a survival mode and was clear-headed as one could be in that situation. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from that, I did really enjoy this episode. I love how Glenn is just eternally and intrinsically good compared to others who tend to be morally gray. I thought the meeting with Morgan was done really well. Lenny James is so... They say flippin'. That's a word I would never use. I would say fucking talented. He has a way of expressing intense emotions, even in a few words. Yeah, I can't say enough good about him. And says the tower falling was definitely an awesome and intense moment there at the end. And I'm excited for the hell that happens next week. We should all predict who will not survive. Will any of Rick's group die? Do they kill the main characters in mid-season finale? I think they do. Yeah. What do you think? We should probably do some death prediction.
So I know enough about the comic plot that I feel like it'd be cheating.
Okay. Well, he has some predictions. How about this?
Okay, yeah.
Here are my death predictions for next week. Jesse, Ron, Tobin, Olivia, and hopefully Spencer. None of our Rick group. Oh, no. If I had to predict anyone from Rick's group who will die, I predict Morgan. That's a lot of deaths.
Morgan dying would be interesting because that would make Lenny James a single half-season commitment, a single filming thing commitment. So that would be pretty tidy.
Sure. From an accounting perspective.
Yes.
Which seems to be a major concern on this show.
I don't know, because I feel like on a mid-season finale with the fake out of Glenn that you have to kill Glenn.
I was going to say Glenn, yeah. You got to kill somebody.
You got to.
It would be really rude to kill Maggie. Real rude.
She's dying as you burnt the photo. I don't know. Like I said, it would be shooting fish in a barrel if I talk about what I think I remember from the comics, and then again he could just remix it, and who knows?
Sure. I don't know. I think we're gonna have to wait until after the finale and then do some death predictions for next half season.
Yeah.
Like we are wont to do.
I will say that probably the death toll is going to be 90%, 10% Alexandria versus Rick's group.
Yeah, I'm with you. Joseph says, look, I am not a Walking Dead defender. I basically have been hate watching the show for years now, but I'm going to stand up in limited defense of the Glenn fake out. I thought it worked, and I think that Jim and Aaron's hearts are 2 sizes too small. You'll get no argument from me there. I think
it's a birth condition.
Yeah.
Like, are you know?
I struggle with it every day.
It's genetics. Are you going to make fun of our deformities? Not very classy, man.
He goes on, I think that if I had to watch these episodes without knowing anything from the internet or The Talking Dead, I would have bought Glenn's death 100%, and I would have been excited to see Glenn come back. It's basically like a classic TV cliffhanger. I thought Glenn defending himself by building up a wall of dead walkers around the edges of the dumpster worked well. Yeah, I don't know. I still thought it was telegraphed that Glenn was not dead, even without The Talking Dead, even without interviews, even without Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I went away from that episode going, well, Glenn's not dead.
Was that actually because we have it on
I think
film?
So. I believe so. It was like we were both saying, yeah, it's obviously Dickless guts getting ripped out. It's not Glenn. That's pretty apparent.
Yeah, I think that I think that it wouldn't have taken Reddit. I think at a second watch would have confirmed.
Okay.
That they shot this deliberately to imply some kind of trickery. But Alan Sepinwall swears that his initial thought was that Glenn was dead, and it was unambiguous that he was dead.
I thought it was extremely ambiguous.
If you want to watch it once and you see that his guts are being pulled out and they're zooming away to him being on the ground surrounded by zombies, you could be forgiven of thinking that.
Sure, yeah.
But so, yeah.
All right. Sherry in Missouri. Missouri?
I wonder if that's why Alan's so worked up, because he personally fell for it.
Maybe so.
Like the professional television critic, he's like, that's why he's, because he seems more worked up than usual.
Well, it was a lot more bullshit than usual.
Yeah, no, it's a way that they've combined several ways of failing together and then added the social media after show aspect.
And taking
And
Steven
again,
Yeun's
like
name out of the credits, which they've never done with a character death.
Yeah. No, I think it would have been cool if they'd went all in. Like, just have Steven Yeun lie to people. And then he could actually
talk about how he was crying on set the day he found out. He read the script. He went to Lauren Cohan and was like, "Oh, I can't believe they're going to do this."
But then they destroy. But that's weird. It destroys the integrity of The Talking Dead. Which,
totally, yeah.
But I feel like should they be more worried about that than the
No.
damn show? No. They should use and that would be interesting going forward. Is to say we are going to use The Talking Dead to further our narrative at every step of the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you.
And that's where it's like I think I annoyed you on our discussion of season 1 of True Detective because I was openly entertaining whether or not Nick Pizzolatto and Cary Fukunaga are smart enough to stage some of this butting heads as a way to further the meta narrative of the show itself.
Yeah, I don't usually buy into this big grand meta plan. Typically,
but I feel like it's something like I feel like you and I have been close to fucking with an audience like that. We always like, nah, that's not right to do.
Sure.
But if we were a little bit more narcissistic, we probably would have tried it.
Yeah, maybe so.
So, I don't know.
Maybe I'm not giving people enough credit or the opposite.
Because then we can go our separate ways for next season of Talking Dead, but one of us can still be the executive producer, and then it'll bomb.
There you go.
And then we come back, we reunite for season 8 of The Walking Dead, and ratings are never higher.
Yep.
We'd
one of us is
we'd never do something that cynical and crass, would we?
One of us is killed in the process of a podcast, or are they?
Yeah, that was rock salt rounds.
Sherry,
if I just shoot you with the blank gun and you pretend to be dead on the live cast,
horrifying. You have to really sell the argument leading up to it, though.
Sure.
All right, Sherry in Missouri says, "Thanks for your podcast." As my 21-year-old son said in the car the other day, "Wow, they really like to drop the F-bomb." And I said, "Yeah, but they do it creatively."
Oh, well, depends on who you ask, but thank you.
And then she goes on, "One issue that still bothered me is Rick's hand. He injured it, and there was talk of something that happens in the comic book, but no one has gone back to explain why he is favoring his hand so much and what the implications were."
I think this is a drop thread.
That's so bizarre to show him slice open his hand and then it not matter in any way.
Right.
There's no way in which that mattered, unless they go back to it in the finale, but I don't know why they would.
I mean, it could be because we're talking about this in the main part of the cast. There's an injury to Rick's hand in the comics that happened way back. That's probably, and Kirkman says that was a mistake.
Yeah.
He didn't like that whole plot line. So it'd be actually really super funny if he did it at this point. But I think, if I'm being charitable, that was a wink to comic fans. Like, Rick's got a bandage on his hand. Her.
Okay. Sure.
Which that's fine. I don't mind it. If that was the case, I thought they played a little bit more significance to like him favoring it, and
it's super confusing for show watchers though when they make it a significant thing.
Yeah, it should have been more back. If you're going to wink like that, it should be in the background.
Yeah. Stuart from Brisbane, Australia says at the end of episode 5, we see a trickle of blood seeping through part of the Alexandria Wall. Deanna walks past it and sees it, or doesn't see it. In this week's episode, we again see it, and this time Rick and other Alexandrians notice it. The hole in the wall instantly reminded me of the story about the little Dutch boy who saved all of Holland by plugging a hole in the dike with his finger. The moral of the story is that a small effort can avert a major disaster. If you're curious, the name of that story is Hans Brinker or the Silver Skates. And the story of the boy is like a short story within the novel. Okay, that makes sense. It's strange, but it's there. He says, judging by the collapse of the church tower, it appears that the Alexandrians' case, in their case, the major disaster was not averted. So what small effort did they fail to do? Maybe they should have begun shoring up the wall a lot sooner. Rick's efforts were too little too late. Perhaps it refers to the bigger picture that the Alexandrians should have opened their eyes earlier to the reality of their predicament and their need to adapt to survive. I'd buy that. Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I don't know that that's what they were necessarily going for, but that idea could certainly be implied. Yeah. That we took it to kind of mean, this is the outside slowly making its way in. Sure. But
it could be like a bunch of benign negligence that gets to a point where you can't come back from it.
Yeah, ultimately, like
AKA the U.S. infrastructure system right now.
Plugging that hole would not have helped at all. I don't think it was the weakened nature of the gate there that made it collapse under the stress of the building falling on it.
But as you pointed out in the opening, like that whole sequence is one of those things where it's this kind of chaotic catastrophe that any one thing, like if the wall hadn't been weakened, maybe it could survive a tower falling on it. If the tower hadn't been weakened by the truck, maybe it wouldn't have fallen on the wall. If the truck had, it's one of those things where you needed all those kind of failures all together to make the crisis that we have now.
Gotcha. Chelsea says, so in an amazing display of total bullshit, Walking Dead spoiled me for The Walking Dead again. When I went to watch the show online, the cover photo of the episode was Glenn alive and bloody. Really? Really? To add insult to injury, I spent the entire day avoiding the internet with the same level of frustration as a dog wearing a goddamn neck cone. I finally felt so uneasy that I gave in and started watching it while at work. I'm so annoyed I couldn't continue watching it. However, I felt that Glenn's dumpster escape was pulled off relatively well, considering how totally implausible it was.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It wasn't... If this happened, I'm sure we would have said, ha ha, her, look at all these staging problems and whatnot, because that's what we do. But then we would have moved on and we'd accepted how this fits in the narrative, and we wouldn't be spending all this time arguing about it.
No. For this email, I was going more for the idea that they're showing cover photos of a key plot point.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Like when you go to click on it online to watch the fucking episode, you
Sure.
already see the resolution.
Yeah.
Like they did that with Glenn last time when we talked about the bus escape, right? When Maggie goes to pick him up, there was some like next time on.
Yes.
Where they clearly showed that Glenn was not in fact dead in this bus.
Sure. Now they didn't, I will say that they avoided doing that.
Yeah.
In this episode.
They did not give away anything about Glenn.
They did a good job on that in the leftovers too. Like their next time on was a big fucking fib last week.
It's true, yeah.
So
it was no new footage, was it?
They put some new and some used that kind of made it seem like this was something else going to happen. And by not showing Glenn, but then I noticed the same thing when I went to because I usually get, especially on Instant Cast, I usually go to AMC's press photos or whatever the fuck they are to get the cover art for the Instant Cast.
Yeah.
And when I was on there, and this was 15, 20 minutes after the show aired, that was the big, when you go in there, is Glenn's mug. And it's like, wow, like if you're Pacific time, fuck you, I guess.
I wonder if they thought,
let alone if it's the next day and you like you said, try to do your best to avoid all those, the internet, avoid the entire internet.
I wonder if it's like, oh, well, people are aware that we're going to talk about Glenn in this episode, so let's just put a picture of Glenn, and they didn't intend it to be like, hey, Glenn's alive, everybody. But even then, that's not smart. Matthew P. I thought even though they 100% trolled us with Glenn, the way they got Glenn out of the dumpster was good, or out of the cliffhanger was good. He says that there was some... some redeeming qualities about this episode. Even the Alexandrians weren't entirely annoying. And then I mainly included this for this comment. What was the episode called again? Chekhov's Watchtower? Yeah, they were heavily foreshadowing that for sure. Henrik says, I never watched Talking Dead, but this week I had to see if they'd at least address the elephant in the room. No, they didn't. They just had an hour-long circle jerk over how clever they've been.
They were
totally oblivious to the viewer reaction. I mean it. I mean, I get it. Hardwick Show is a marketing tool, but come on. They don't even seem to realize that nobody thought Glenn was dead, and that's mostly because of Glenn's no-show at their stupid memorial segment, combined with Gimple's idiotic comments. Yeah, so I watched the beginning of this.
So I did too, because I only had time to watch the beginning.
Me too.
So if they got to some slight, like we said, soft/hardball questions, I don't know. But the beginning, honestly, really turned me off.
Yeah, the beginning, I mean...
It's like a fucking victory lap. Like, we did it!
Chris pitched him not even a softball question. He ignored the obvious flame war that was happening on the internet the entire last week. The entire last 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
And just said, everybody I talked to in my friend circle said... we would be ecstatic if Glenn came back. Was there any concern for you about it? And they were like, no, we knew what we were doing, and like we were happy with the response. Like, they just glossed over that 90% of the internet was like, fuck you guys.
Right.
This is terrible.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure people are glad that Glenn's back. You know?
Sure. I am too.
I am too. But that's
that
not,
doesn't
I'm not
negate...
ecstatic about the situation. Hell
yes. Yes. So, sure. All it is marketing, and I don't know why anybody would watch that show at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Joe P. says, would it have gone from total bullshit to highlight moment if the first scene from this week's episode actually aired right after the commercial break that followed the fall from the dumpster? I think so. I think if they had gone and left him under the dumpster, it probably would have made that an entirely different thing for me.
Do what?
With Glenn.
If they left him under the dumpster this episode?
No. If they left him under the dumpster at the end of the first time.
Oh, and then immediately come back, or even let it go,
or even let it hang for.
If they let it hang for, I still
episodes.
think people would have complained. It would. Oh, I've been doing this podcast for 6 years now.
They'll always complain.
Or
I'll
5 years,
complain.
4 years. I don't know. However long, it's been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, if there was any kind of hanging Chad situation like that, people would have taken to the walls about it. But
it would have been
barricades rather. Yeah, I feel like it'd have been less severe and it'd been more understandable as an artistic choice. Like, okay, well, you tried this and you went wrong, whereas the way it actually happened was just a giant clusterfuck.
Sure.
To the extent that I don't even know what the hell they were trying to do.
Okay. Jenkins B has some comments about this episode. He says this was one of the better episodes in the past few weeks. Why? Not because of zombie action, gun-toting action, or fake deaths, but simply because of scenes where characters express their feelings and thoughts in complete, meaningful dialogue. Take, for example, the meeting with Morgan. I felt like I was in a real council meeting where an actual issue was being discussed and thrashed out instead of the usual half-expressed, vague, parable dialogue they're used to giving us. Another example is Glenn with Enid, where he lets her know exactly what she is doing, how he feels about it, and why she should stop. I prefer this to the Maggie Aaron debacle of 2 episodes ago of you go, no, I'll go, and then we can go all the way back to like here's not here and we ain't them. And
although I will say that while I think that the Glenn and Enid stuff was more successful, it did follow that same structure.
A little bit, yeah.
Of like refusing to actually get to the real point until the very end of the episode when it's time to get to the real point.
Yeah, that's true. But when it happens over the course of a single episode, it's a lot better.
Right. And I think the Morgan thing with the time that we got to his backstory and all that was neat. Yeah. And one of these days, it would be interesting to see, instead of doing a single bottle episode to give that backstory, if they did it at a different point. Like if they had Glenn hanging over their heads, or people were kind of impatient anyway, and or maybe they could have, like, I was at the fantasy of like doing that, except for have it be the cold open of every episode leading up to this episode, where it's like its payload is most effective.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. They do like the disjointed. I think Gimple really likes. He feels like he's really caught lightning in a bottle with this non-conventional, non-linear storytelling.
He's trying to Tarantino us, and I don't feel like it's working.
It did, like it. I felt like the pilot was a notable exception to that, but now I feel like that was more useful because it obfuscated some of the plot problems.
Okay.
So damn it, man!
I agree
it's like
with
I'm
that.
trying to give him credit, and he keeps taking it away from himself.
Mark in Virginia says, I like to think I came up with the word trick fuck, but the Urban Dictionary claims otherwise.
What is a trick fuck?
I didn't look it up. Look it up while I'm doing this. He says,
is Tony Hawk involved?
I caught the implication here. He says,
is it one word or two?
One word. All caps in his email. But he says, when Glenn popped his head on screen, the word trick fuck entered my head. I thought to myself, Glenn, good to see you. Missed you, but you were dead to me. And Gimple, fuck you and your trick fuck.
To con someone into doing a task or job no one else would willingly want to do. To knowingly trick or bamboozle someone into doing something they will pay a consequence for.
Okay.
He trick fucked me into taking his duty. I was trick fucked into this position. I was told it would be great. First used exclusively by U.S. Navy sailors mid to late 1990s. All right.
Wow. Okay. So we have the Navy to thank for that turn of phrase. As is most of my vocabulary, honestly.
Yeah.
Cappy says, some comments about Enid and Sophia here. When Glenn was speaking to Enid and said, "I get that you're scared," during the helium tank scene, I kind of felt like he was talking to Sophia. And I'm going to go into a comic arc that can't be a spoiler for the show. So if you don't want comic spoilers, I suggest you skip ahead 30 seconds.
Okay.
But, like, I don't feel like spoiling the comic here is such a bad thing, especially with something that's happened such a long time ago.
If it involves Sophia, she's dead. So
On the show, yeah.
All right.
So, okay. For those who don't know, Sophia is his adopted daughter in the comic, who was orphaned when Carol died in the prison. Maggie and Glenn had a connection with her and therefore took it upon themselves to take her in.
Wait, what? For real?
That's what Cappy's saying. Sure.
I don't remember that. Okay, yeah, all right.
I don't think I got to that part.
Now I think I remember this. Okay.
For those that are only familiar with the show, you may remember Sophia as Carol's daughter, who went missing in season 2, who we later find in the Green family's barn as a walker. With this new baby on its way, do you think that... Oh, God, I can't say this. Glenn and Maggie would adopt Enid as well? Will she join the cast of the Full House Walking Dead Familia? Would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about that? It's kind of an homage to the comics that Enid will fill the role of Sophia.
I don't think Enid needs a family at this point like that. She's too old. I think she just needs to be rehabilitated in the same way Michonne was. Like, Michonne didn't need a daddy and a mommy. She needed someplace safe and secure to where she could start to heal from all of the traumatic stress she's endured. So I feel like that's the place I'm at with Enid.
Yeah.
And I think it would feel a little too Full House gross if they went that direction.
Yeah.
If Enid was like 11 or 12, okay, maybe. But, I mean, I think she's like 15, 16, yeah?
That's what I would guess.
I mean, Carl's kind of right there, too.
Mm-hmm.
How old is Chandler Riggs in real life?
He's got to be 15 at least. But yeah,
he's 16. Yeah, so that's what I'm glad I wasn't totally off on that. But yeah, I feel if she's 15, 16, and I don't think she needs to be adopted by Glenn and fucking Maggie. No,
that was my general feeling too. But I could see why people might think, especially after we know so much about her parents, like, and why she's JSSing.
But, I mean, Chandler Riggs was way too old to pull off that whole, my daddy is in a coma and you left me and I'm scared and lonely but not really kind of thing. I mean, it was way more effective when he was like 11 years old in the comics. So it's not saying that The Walking Dead wouldn't exhume a hoary plot and with an age-inappropriate actor.
That's true.
And do not justice to it.
Final email. Amanda D. in Houston says, I am a licensed professional structural engineer with 10 years of experience, and I'd like to weigh in on the falling tower's impact on the Alexandria Wall.
I actually read this compiling the leftovers feedback this morning.
All right, good. So you might have some comments on it. I did quick calculations for both the maximum wind conditions and for the impact of the falling tower. I just assumed that an architect would do their best to design for hurricane wind forces, which is the biggest lateral event Alexandria faces. Zombies pushing at the base of the wall is less of a structural threat.
I would buy that, sure.
All right. She goes, here's the wind part. Assuming the wall is 15 feet tall, and we're just looking at the approximate 30-foot length that fell down during the episode, the maximum wind load the wall would see is 11,800 pounds gust, an 11,800-pound gust acting 8 foot 3 inches above the ground.
Okay.
And she cites the section of the architect's book. I don't know what it is, but there are plenty of other structural engineers out there to do that. Here's the tower part. Assuming a 10-foot by 10-foot floor plan that is 30 feet high, the tower should weigh about 30,000 pounds total. This tower fell at an angle, and we're only concerned about the horizontal component of the force. Let's say the building was 9 feet away, and the horizontal force hitting the wall was 15,000 pounds anywhere on the wall. Let's say at the same height as the wind, to keep it simple. So it looks like the force of the building hitting the wall is 15,000 pounds, and Reg probably only designed for 11,800. The tower impact was 25% more intense than the maximum wind gust. So yeah, the falling tower could possibly make the wall fall down.
Yeah, my only concern would be like, okay, so that's 20% over, so would that mean total structural collapse, or would it like get bend and sag kind of?
I have no idea.
I mean,
I'm not a structural engineer, and she is.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I buy totally that building collapsing on that would crush defense. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like a napkin calculation.
Yeah.
Back in the napkin, but, it's better than I could do.
Sure.
So,
and, like, when I saw it the second time, the way they staged it and the angle and everything, it's like, okay, sure.
It looked pretty hefty.
Yeah.
So
had a lot of leverage on the wall.
All right, that's it.
Okay.
You want to tell people how they can get a hold of us? If they
You
want to
can do so at...
Watching Dead at
Thank
baldmove.com.
you. Watching Dead at baldmove.com.
I'll tell them.
And at forums.baldmove.com.
All right, or Facebook, Twitter, whatever. We just...
All that stuff on baldmove.com. Go to baldmove.com.
Yeah, it's all there. We're going to be back for the season finale. That's next week.
Mid-season finale.
Well, yeah, mid-season finale. 2015 finale.
And we'll probably have a postseason recap, you think?
We will.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
All right.
So, I don't know. We'll talk about it over the next week or so. But yeah, we'll be back for the live watch and the live recording of the Instant Cast and all that stuff next Sunday. And until then, I'm Jim.
I'm Aaron. See ya.